Today, we're going to look at economics through a completely different lens. One where the market isn't just about money and profit, but about morality and faith. We are diving deep into the world of Islamic economics.
Seriously, think about that for a second. What if every single time you bought something, it wasn't just about what you wanted, but about what was right? Well, that's not just some philosophical thought experiment. It's the actual foundation of Islamic economics, where every single transaction has a moral weight to it.
So, let's start with us, the consumers. In this system, demand isn't just some raw impulse we need to satisfy. No, it's a very conscious choice, and it's guided by a really clear set of principles.
And right here, you can see the huge shift in thinking. On the left, you've got your standard textbook economics. It's all about getting the most satisfaction for yourself. But on the right, the whole game changes. The goal is to fulfill your actual needs over your fleeting wants, and it's all steered by religious values.
And that guidance? Well, it pretty much boils down to two critical words. Halal, which means something is permissible, and haram, meaning it's forbidden. And this isn't just about what you eat. This is a filter that applies to literally every single thing you could buy or sell.
Now, this is where it really messes with the classic supply and demand curve. If something is haram, forbidden, the price is completely irrelevant. I mean, you could be giving it away for free, and for an observant consumer, the demand is just zero. It's not a negotiation, it's an absolute.
But it doesn't even stop there. It's not just about avoiding what's forbidden. There's this other really important concept called israf, which is all about avoiding waste and being extravagant. So even for things that are totally halal, the system has this built-in brake against just buying and consuming way more than you need.
Okay, so that's the buyer. Let's flip the coin and look at the seller. Because it's not just consumers playing by a different rule book, the people who make and sell things are too. For them, it is not just about maximizing profit no matter the cost.
So producers have these ethical guardrails. First off, you can only make halal stuff, period. Second, you absolutely cannot hoard products to create a fake shortage and then jack up the prices. Lying or being intentionally vague in a deal, also forbidden. And on top of all that, there's zakat, which is this required charitable giving, and that gets factored right into the cost of doing business.
All right, we've looked at the demand side and the supply side. Now let's put it all together and see how these two economic worldviews really stack up, side by side.
Man, this table just lays it all out, doesn't it? Look at the source of knowledge. One is all about data. The other combines data with divine guidance. Or check out the ultimate goal. Conventional economics is shooting for individual efficiency, right? But Islamic economics is aiming for something called falah, this big idea of social justice and well-being for everyone. We'll get back to that. It's just a totally different reason for the economy to exist in the first place.
Okay, so this all sounds really interesting in theory, but what happens when the rubber hits the road? How does this actually work in a real-life market? Well, let's check out a few case studies that show these ideas in action.
Our first story takes us to Solo, Indonesia. There was a super popular fried chicken place, a real local favorite. Everyone in the Muslim community loved it, but it was hiding a pretty big secret.
So here's the breakdown. Everyone thought that chicken was halal, so demand was through the roof. But then the truth came out. The restaurant was using pork lard, which is strictly haram. The reaction from the market was instant. We're not talking about a small dip in sales. For the Muslim community, demand didn't just shrink, it completely collapsed. It just goes to show you how non-negotiable these rules are.
And you can see this so clearly with a simple example like drinks. In a market where consumers are observant Muslims, the demand for stuff like juice or water looks totally normal. But the demand for alcohol, which is haram, it's basically zero. The price just doesn't matter. The moral rule is what shapes the entire market.
And you see this same pattern over and over. In a market in Bandung, shoppers would totally skip over any unlabeled meat because they were worried it might be pork. They'd shift 100% of their business to the vendors who had that halal certification. And on the flip side, you have this small coconut water seller who was super transparent and certified. Their demand just kept growing, all because of consumer trust.
So let's just recap what these stories show us. When a product is discovered to be haram, demand disappears. When it's known to be haram from the start, there's no demand to begin with. And when a product is certified, trustworthy, and halal, demand is strong and it grows. In every single one of these cases, the main thing driving the market isn't price, it's faith.
And all this leads us to the biggest and probably the most important question of all.
If the point isn't just about getting rich or just getting whatever you want, then what is the point? What's the end game for an economy that's built like this?
The answer is this really beautiful idea called falah. And falah doesn't just mean profit or wealth. It's this idea of true, holistic well-being. It's a kind of prosperity that includes your spiritual life, your moral life, and your material life. Not just for now, but for the hereafter too. It's just a much deeper, more profound way of defining success.
So if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. Islamic economics isn't trying to get rid of the market. It believes in supply and demand. What it tries to do is embed those market forces inside a moral compass, to steer the whole system away from just pure self-interest and toward fairness, justice, and that ultimate goal of falah for everyone.
And that really leaves us with a huge question to think about. No matter what you believe, this whole system makes you wonder, what's the purpose of our economy? And maybe, just maybe, should every marketplace have some kind of moral compass to guide it?